Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. So today I want to talk about something that I've been seeing in a lot of my clients, and it's a pattern, and I've seen that in my life as well. And I've been going deeper to understand what it really means, where it's coming from, and how I could actually create this podcast to help explain, to all of you what it really means and how can you work on this pattern, okay? So, first of all, have you all heard of this saying that, if I get this, I'll die, right? Or if I really truly get what I want, I'll die. And people say that, jokingly or like, in just jest or when they're making fun of something. But in reality, there is a lot of truth to it, okay? And this truth is at a level of your soul, okay? So, um it might sound shocking and almost like absurd at first, but stay with me, okay? Because once you understand what it truly means, you'll see why so many people work hard, manifest, visualize, and still stay stuck at the edge of fulfillment, almost there but never fully receiving it. Okay. So this was actually an example, like a few years ago, I was in a cab chatting with the driver, and we started talking about money, and I don't know what happened. I think he was talking about somebody earning a good amount of money, right? And he said, I don't even know why would that person not, do that job or something like that. And then I kind of just asked him, how much was he making or something like that, right? And he just laughed, and he said, like, he was also serious. And he said he made, or he's making 2 lakh, this was in Delhi, 2 lakh rupees every month. And he said that, if I made this amount, I would jump off a cliff. And yeah, I mean, we just laughed about it. But now that I think about it, right, it really clicked, that statement. Like I said, now that I'm doing research and trying to understand where it's coming from, he was serious, not literally, right, about dying, but about the impossibility of achieving something, right? His system, his nervous system, his energetic DNA was saying, that's too much for me. That is not safe. That's not who I am allowed to be. So try and understand, right? Try and understand the depth of these statements, okay? Because that's when I realized that we all have our own versions of that. For that guy, it was 2 lakh rupees, right? The ceiling was for that, but we all have our own ceilings, okay? For some, it could be $1 million. For some, it could be a loving relationship. For others, it could be fame or even visibility, right? Each of us carries a silent inner limit that whispers, if I actually receive this, something in me will die. Okay. Now, the thing is, when you are thinking of achieving something, that is kind of a dream. That means that it's currently not there in your life, right? Of course, in order to reach there, a part of you has to die, if you look at it metaphorically, right? Or even think of it energetically, a part of you that was struggling will have to go if you actually become wealthy, right? So, yeah, so we are going to look at it from two lenses. One would be like that soul level, where it's so difficult for your nervous system to think of being somewhere that you really like to be, that you don't even think of going there because that's dangerous, literally, right? There is no safety in that. That's number one. Number two is that in order for you to actually grow or become something different from what you are right now, a part of you needs to die so that you can become that new version, right? So let's go deeper, right? Why would we equate receiving with death? Yeah. Because at a soul level, growth always involves a form of ego death, right? To have something bigger than what your current identity can hold, you must become something new, right? And that means a part of you or your old self must dissolve. So when the driver said he'd die, right, he was unconsciously expressing the truth that to hold that kind of money, he'd have to let go of that version of himself that only knew struggle, smallness, or survival. Yeah. And that's the same for all of us. Your desire might be for abundance, right? Or love, or recognition, or freedom. But each desire carries a price of transformation. And sometimes that price feels like death. It truly does, right? And the death of who you've always been, right? The death of familiar patterns, right? The death of old identities that once kept you safe, right? Because if you don't get out of your house, there are higher chances of you not getting into an accident, right? So you stay at home. But then there is this yearning to explore, to learn. There is this curiosity to experience things, right? And so there is this duality that you get stuck in, right? Our subconscious interprets that inner transformation as danger, right? So it keeps us in a holding pattern, which basically means being unfulfilled but safe, right? So that's why a lot of our, like the soul programming, if you go back to the soul programming that I was talking about, it's mostly keeping us unfulfilled, our desires unfulfilled, because if we, again, if we do fulfill them, then, you know, it's danger, it's not safe. So we'll remain unfulfilled, yet we'll keep desiring those things. You see the dilemma that a lot of us are stuck in, right? So the mind wants comfort, right? But the soul wants expansion. Okay. So the mind says, if I get too successful, people will judge me. If I open my heart again, I might be hurt. If I receive too much money, I'll lose control, right? So these are not logical fears, okay? They're all energetic imprints, but they come from the body, okay? They come from our ancestral field. They come from that early conditioning, right? Where all of these inner children are formed. They come from there as well. So you end up living a half life, okay? Wanting abundance, but resisting it, right? Wanting love, but fearing it, right? Wanting freedom, but clinging to control, right? That's why so many manifestation techniques, they don't work long term. Yeah, they activate desire, but they don't activate safety. Okay, the body has to feel that it's safe to receive, safe to expand, safe to be seen, right? Otherwise, your system, your nervous system will keep saying, if I get what I want, I'll die. It's danger. Okay, so how do we change this? Okay. How do we move towards our desires without resistance, without fear, right? How do we work on our nervous systems to expand it, right? To make it feel safe so that it can actually contain, whatever we want, which could be an abundance, love, all of the things that you want, right? And these are the things that I actually teach, in my sessions, in a child work, all the work that I do one on one. Yeah, even in clearings, I am working on expanding your nervous system. Yeah. So let's just discuss few methods that you can start working on from today in order to feel that safety in your body so that, you can walk closer. You can become one with your desires. Okay. So number one would be honoring the part that's scared, okay? Because we're all scared, okay? We're all scared, and it's only natural. Like I said, it's like your nervous system revolting every time there is a desire, okay? And some things are obviously easy for you to get, and you would get that without any resistance. However, if there is anything in life that you feel like there's a struggle, or it's taking a lot of time, this is then it's time for you to inquire and to also then work on these points. Okay, the first would be to honor the part that's scared. Okay, don't fight it, listen to it. When you notice resistance, ask gently, what are you protecting me from? Okay, often it's an old version of you that equates success with rejection or loss. So that's where, when I do this one-on-one work with clients, I actually help them understand why this rejection is coming. What's the actual energy of rejection? What is it stopping you from not experiencing? Because there has to be something, some benefit that you're getting from it, from not getting it, right? And so we explore that, we understand that, we acknowledge it, we honor it, and that helps it dissolve actually. Yeah. So the second would be expand your capacity before expanding outcomes. So, like I said, whatever you're desiring, one is that you are desiring it from your mind, right? But your nervous system should also expand enough to contain it, right? So, your desire isn't the problem. Your capacity to hold it is, okay? So, using breath work, somatic healing, energy alignment, or anything, EFT, right? Work on it, right, to signal safety to your body. Because, like I said, until and unless that safe feeling is not resonating within your nervous system, it will not allow you to bring that desire into your life. Because for it, currently it's danger. So your body is actually closed down. Okay. The third will be shift from chasing to allowing, right? So you need to, and again, this also comes from the very energy of femininity, or you can say that feminine abundance, where you allow yourself to for things to come to you rather than you putting in all the efforts and thinking that that is what equates to things moving forward. Okay, and that also comes from a nervous system work. The more you work on your nervous system, the more you'll be open to allowing things to come into your life. Okay, then, because like I said, the more you allow yourself to be seen, supported, and guided, the easier it will become to receive without fear. Okay, and then, of course, number four would be celebrating small expansions, right? Because just today, if you're looking, if you're at, like, say, $10,000, for you to go to $1 million, there is this expansion that is required for your nervous system, right? So even if you go from 10 to, say, $20,000, you must celebrate even the small expansion of an extra $10,000, because every time you let in a little more love, money, or joy, you're actually training your nervous system that receiving is safe. Okay, that's actually how we die to the old self joyfully. Okay, one gentle layer at a time, right? Because if you're not enjoying the little moments, you're actually again giving that signal to your nervous system that, it's not a million, it's just another 10K, and your body again starts going into fight or flight. You see? So it's very important for all of you to understand the connection between cortisol and your stress, and how it affects your nervous system. If in the process of manifestation all you're focused on is not enough, not enough, not enough, and you're constantly activating cortisol in your body is in a trauma state. Your body is, and when it is in the trauma state, it will keep shutting down. Remember. And if you're, just imagine if your computer is constantly shutting down, can you do your work on your computer? No. Every time you'll have to keep rebooting it, keep switching it on, right? And imagine if that happens again and again and again, it might just go off. Your computer might just go off, right? For good. How many times you switch on and off? Maybe you switch it on in the morning and then you switch it off in the night, whatever, like that, right? Which is what you're doing, which is what ideal for your body as well. But imagine switching it off every 5 minutes, every 2 minutes. Then what will happen? Exactly, that's what's happening with your body. Every time you bring up stress, every time you're stressed about an issue, every time you're thinking about how things are not going to work out, how you're stuck, how everything is against you, how everybody is taking advantage of you. All of that self-talk is causing cortisol and is causing your system to shut down. And remember, when your system is shut, even when your computer shut, let's keep equating it to the example of the computer. Every time it shuts down, doesn't it take a while for when it switches on to connect with the Wi-Fi, right? Similarly, your body takes some time to again go back to that allowing zone, right? Every time it shuts down, every time you have stress, it shuts down, right? This means that it's not in the process of any kind of manifestation, any kind of allowing, any kind of desires. It's not looking at that at that moment. At that moment, it's trying to survive, so it's shut down. Then, when you're relaxed, suppose you do EFT, suppose you drink a lot of water, suppose you come back to relaxation, it'll take a few moments to get back to receiving, right? And then again, maybe you get an email and then you're again stressed. It'll again shut down. It is, and imagine how resilient our bodies are. That's what we're doing to it. So we need to stay in safe, and safety can only come when the body is relaxed, which means not stressed. Yeah. So maybe the truth isn't that you'll die if you get what you want. Maybe it's that the old you, right? That has to die, right? And that's a beautiful thing because every dream you have is actually your next self calling you forward. Okay? Not to kill who you are, but to rebirth who you were always meant to be, right? So next time you feel that fear when something good is coming, just whisper to yourself, it's safe to become her or him, right? It's safe to have this. It's safe to receive. And that's why do a lot of nervous system relaxation, exercises, go for a walk, make a list of all the things where you feel that that's soothing to your nervous system and, work on that. Because that's where you'll see, your life actually changing, your life transforming, and try and stay in that zone of no stress for longer periods of time. And you'll be amazed at how little time you give yourself in that safe zone, right? So try and work on all of those modes because the secret ingredient here is to feel safety, right? And in order to feel safety, you have to work on feeling relaxed, feeling like you deserve what you truly want, and then also be open to receiving, right? So that's all for today, folks. Thank you for signing. Thank you for listening, and thank you for giving me actually an opportunity to talk about this because one of my clients actually asked me to make a podcast on this. And if this episode resonated, share it, leave your comments, and let's keep awakening together, right? So until next time, remember, you don't have to fear your desires. They're simply your soul's way of leading you home. Until next time, thank you. Signing off, Anisha Dutt.